Change is coming, but will there be any new chips this year? When does FPL launch? And how much will the premiums cost? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well. In today's show, we're going to break it down into two parts. Things we know that are changing in FPL this year and things that we think could change in FPL this year. Stay tuned. Let us know in the comments what you think and let's get cracking, shall we, with something that we know is going to happen. We know we're going to see positional changes, but which players will change position? Well, going from last season, I've identified 6 names that surely have to change position. So let's just go through those, shall we, guys? And if you're enjoying the video, please do hit that like button nice and early. It really helps the algorithm. And likewise, if you want to subscribe to support the channel, I've got so much pre-season content planned. There'll be more than this, but these are 6 fairly popular names, right? So Lewis Skelly, he is a midfielder. Like, often we see young kids like start at central midfielders being moved out to full back early on. And I think Lewis Skelly, whilst we'll see him in central midfield maybe in a couple of seasons, I think he's going to be Arsenal's starting left back next season. FPL have to change him because his Premier League minutes last season, the vast majority of them were from left back. He has to move from midfielder to defender, and he could be a cheap route to the Arsenal defence because I think he'll come in cheaper than Saliba and Gabriel. Lewis Skelly might just be one for the watch list early doors. Diogo Jota, again, when we look at his minutes, it's been as the number 9. The vast majority of his starts has been as the number 9. Now, FPL price strikers or categorize strikers based on playing number 9. If you're a wide forward, if your name's Mo Salah or Raheem Sterling, or if you're a number 10 and you're a Kevin De Bruyne, even if sometimes you play down the middle, you're not listed as a forward. You got to play as a number 9 down the middle to be consistently to be a forward in FPL. So Diogo Jota is one of those. But what we will see, I think, is loads of players listed as forwards being moved to midfielder. Let me know in the comments. I didn't put Jared Bowen on this list, but as I'm talking, I'm thinking Jared Bowen, wide forward. Yeah, same as Salah, should be a midfielder. But is he? No, because Jared Bowen, half his minutes last season were as the number 9. So that'll be an interesting one. Do FPL move Bowen to a forward? Maybe they do. But 4 players have to move back from forward to midfielder because they're not playing number 9 in the majority of their minutes. Gakpo doesn't play number 9 in the majority of his minutes, nor does Marmoush. Cunha didn't at Wolves and won't at Man United, and Ndiaye another one at Everton. These guys are playing as either number 10s or wide forwards. Gakpo, most of his minutes come on the left. Marmoush, most of his minutes will come in the number 10, especially with no De Bruyne. Cunha, most of his minutes will come behind the front man. Same with Ndiaye. It's like an inverted wide forward at Everton with the 2, and Ndiaye is one of those 2. So those 4 players are all going to be midfielders. And for the likes of Marmoush, I'm really interested, and even Ndiaye. Everton have got good fixtures to start the season. Marmoush could be a cheap route to the City attack if you're not going Erling Haaland. These players are really interesting to me. Bowen could be another that is added to the list. Of course, when you move from midfielder to forward, you lose a point for the goal. You don't get the clean sheet point, but you do at times clock bonus better if you're scoring goals. Maybe that's better for Jared Bowen. We're going to get through loads in today's video. This has been a chat about positional changes, but we still have to get to some of the chips that could be introduced and even tweaks to current chips and things like launch date. Things that we don't 100% know, but we can speculate. And everything in today's video, of course, is purely speculation, even these changes. Yes, I work for the Premier League. Yes, I know some of the guys that make some of these changes. I don't have an inside line. I'm purely speculating, but maybe based on some information I've seen in years gone by and how I know the Premier League work, maybe my opinion is valid or maybe I'm totally off. But let's see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Prices are a big one. We're not going to go and talk about loads of players in terms of pricing. I think I need a whole new show for that, whole new episode. But I do want to talk about pricing of some of the premiums because this dictates the rest of the flow. So look, these are players that are 9.5 million and above. I don't think we'll see any more expensive players than this. Now, this is purely speculation. Let me go through them one by one. Some of you will be screaming at the screen going, I agree with that. Or what is he on about? Pricing Palmer at 9.5, whatever. Okay, let's discuss them. We're going to start with the big 2. FPL changed the way they priced players last season based on giving Erling Haaland a 15 million price tag. We'd never seen it. It came out the blue. Haaland had a good season, but he didn't have a season for me that justified going up to 15 million. But they wanted to make us think. And I love that. I love that FPL did that last season. They need to make us think again with premiums next season. They don't want us being able to put Haaland and Salah in our teams easily, do they? So I think Mo Salah, who had a record-breaking season, I think he comes in at 15. If Haaland could come in the year before at 15, then why can't Salah? He's the talisman. He plays for the best team. He scores the most goals. Mo Salah, I think, could be 15. Now, many will be going, no, he'll be 14, 14 and a half. I think they could just make it difficult for us. And they'll also want to give us the option of considering other Liverpool attackers. And let's talk Florian Wirtz just very quickly. If Salah and Wirtz are too close together, everyone's going to pick Salah. If Salah's 14 and Wirtz is 10, you'll find the extra 4 million to buy Salah. By going 5 million, 5.5 million between these two Liverpool attackers, they give us a question. They give us a decision to make. And I think Wirtz could come in significantly lower, 5.5 million lower. I think Wirtz will be 9.5. He doesn't take penalties, but his numbers in the Bundesliga are outstanding. He's a world-class talent. He's an output merchant. He's going to get goals. He's going to get assists. He's going to play number 10 for a very attacking team. I still think Wirtz at 9.5 and Salah at 15, there'll be many that go for the double up. The Liverpool fixtures, of course, are okay at the start of the season. Haaland has to have a price drop. Haaland cannot come in the same as last season. At 13.5, he's still a big, big tempter for us. He'll get a lot of love if he's 13.5 million. If he's too cheap, though, if they price him at 12 or 12.5, it ruins the game. It ruins the game if Haaland comes in at 12 million and then he starts banging, because it's like a 90% owned asset and it's capped. Like, it's just silly. They don't want any player being 70, 80% owned FPL. Of course they don't. That's why I think they'll go really high on Salah. If he's 15 million, he might only be in 50% of teams game week 1. If Haaland's 13.5, he might be in 30, 40% of teams. But if make him 12 million and he'll be in 70%. So I think they have to be really careful with Erling Haaland. They have to look at the numbers from last season, which was a drop off, not just for him, but for the club, right? Man City weren't as good. And with no De Bruyne, yes, they've strengthened and they've made some very good signings in Cherki, and Marmoush now has been there 6 months. But we don't quite know if Man City are going to be up to challenging for the title next season. Bukayo Saka, you have to look at points per game. He missed a lot of games. Don't just look at overall. And Saka's numbers are okay. But because he's Arsenal's talisman, because he does take the pens, I think we'll see him at around 10 million, same as what I think he came in at last year. Palmer came in last year at 10.5. I think he went up to an 11 plus. I think we could see a price drop. Now, look, I'm torn here. He's either going to be 9.5 or 10. He's not going to be 10.5 like he was last season. The second half of last season, Palmer's numbers were not good. There's also a Chelsea signing that I think is going to be really cheap, 6.5 million. We know he's starting game week 1 because Jackson's banned. He's scoring goals in the Club World Cup, and that is Liam Delap. Now, Liam Delap at 6.5 million, let's say, you can cover that Chelsea attack without Cole Palmer now. In last season, there wasn't really a Chelsea attacker you wanted to buy other than Cole Palmer. I reckon Liam Delap changes that for us. So again, they've got to entice us with Palmer. Make him too expensive and just no one will go there. I reckon 9.5 is a good price point for him. But look, I'm 51.49. I think there's a very good chance he's 10. If he's 10.5, they've priced him too high, in my opinion. And Wirtz we've discussed. So look, that's pricing the premiums. Let us know your comments and suggestions on those players in the comments. I want to talk about a few bits that are out of our control now. Okay. And then I'm going to give my opinion on some chip strategies that could, or some changes to the game. We'll get to chips in a minute. The chip strategy is really interesting, and I've got a bit of information in terms of where I think chips could go. But first, what would we change about FPL? This video is about changes coming. Will there be big changes to FPL next season? I'm not so sure we're going to see a huge change, right? Every year we discuss, could they give us 2 free transfers a week, or could they change the deadline? And yeah, we've seen small tweaks with things like deadlines. We've seen small tweaks in terms of chips, but I don't think we're going to get anything huge big in terms of how the game is played. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And FPL is by far The biggest and best, definitely the biggest, subjective if it's the best, in terms of numbers, 11 million play it. The FIFA Club World Cup game, the Champions League game, when there's Euros games, when Sky had a game, none of them get close to fantasy Premier League. Only NFL fantasy is bigger in terms of fantasy sports globally. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think we're going to see any mass changes, but I want to discuss a few that maybe something could come in, but also about their popularity. So 2 players per team. This is something Serie A fantasy does. I play Serie A fantasy. I love it. And I love the 2-player rule. I think it means there's less of a template when there's 2 players per team. You'd have a big decision to make on Arsenal. Do you go Gabriel and Saka, or do you go Gabriel and Saliba? Last season, that would have been a headache for many. We're not going to see that. Like, I just can't see it. The most popular option when I polled it on Twitter was the stick or twist captaincy. Now, many that voted would have played Champions League fantasy, and this is one of the rules. And it's a great rule. I really like it. You have 2 bites at the cherry. I think it probably is a little bit too messy for the Premier League in terms of engaging casual managers. And we have to remember, many of the other fantasy games we play because we're fantasy enthusiasts. But the vast majority of people in your mini league, your work mini league or your mini league at school or whatever, when you look at those mini leagues, how many of them spend more than 10 minutes on their team each week? How many of them are checking the app on a Saturday and a Sunday? Maybe 50%, right? Now, with that in mind, all those casual managers that just want to set their team up and go on the app once a week, it's a little bit unfair to engage them if you can't stick and if you have a rule like stick and twist, and then they're not going on a Sunday to change the armband. I think this is a game that has to appeal to the masses, and I think this rule, as much as I love it myself, sticking and twisting on captaincy is loads of fun. If your captain blanks on game day 1, game day 2, you can change the armband. That's what it's about. I can't see it being one that appeals to the masses. Ball recoveries is another one that we see in Champions League. It rewards defenders that mop up loads of recoveries and also defensive midfielders quite often. They pick up ball recovery points. They don't have routes to points like goals and assists, but therefore maybe they should be rewarded. All I'd say is we have the bonus point system. And the bonus point system, one of the big parts of that is things like tackles, interceptions, blocks are rewarded. Recoveries are rewarded in the BPS already. A new chip, Limitless, maybe. It's another popular one. It's a free hit with unlimited budget. But they've given us a new chip last season, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, because the assistant manager chip was hugely controversial. And I think, when I'm asked my opinion on all this stuff, I think there could be one small change to chips and rules next year. And I'm going to get to that. And it definitely involves the assistant manager chip and how that could change next season. So stay tuned for that in just 60 seconds time. But first, please do give me 60 seconds of your time to discuss Manscaped. I'm going to talk about balls in a minute, but let's just start with beard. Manscaped, I've been using it for some time now. I'm getting some grays. I want to keep a close shave. I compare my Babyliss trimmer with my Manscaped trimmer. You can see the difference for a closer shave. I've got a 15% off offer with Manscaped at the moment. There's already offers on the website, an additional 15% with the code Janny if you want to check out the beard trimmer, which I think has been awesome for me. But there's also, and there's a bundle here, a beard and balls bundle. This is a bit of fun, right? But genuinely, I've always been a little bit wary about using beard trimmers on any other body part, right? Because you don't want to get cut or whatever. Now, the best thing about the shaver here on the left side of the screen, which is perfect, it's called the lawnmower, perfect for areas of your body that are a little bit more fragile and sensitive and you're a little bit more worried about. I can go guilt-free over a very soft, wrinkly area and know I'm not going to get any little nicks. Like this, for me, has been a brilliant experience and an easy experience, and it means I'm grooming down below more than ever. And I feel like, as a married man, maybe I've let things slide a little bit. The protector that still allows a really close shave on that lawnmower is awesome. And the Beard and Balls bundle is available with a discount on at Manscaped, plus my 15% off. Give it a go. Both these shavers have been awesome for me. We said we'd talk about what could change, what I think could change. So let's get cracking, shall we? I genuinely think there's a good chance there's a tweak to how... Well, first, do you like the assistant manager chip? Because when it first came out, so many hated it. I liked it. And I liked it even more when I benefited from it. I think I had 56 points from my assistant manager chip. I like it, but there's a huge amount of points on offer. We can see them here. The bonuses were getting activated left, right, and center. Many managers were using them over a double game week. So you had 5 hits of assistant manager over 3 weeks. And I think the Premier League may have looked at this and gone, there's too many points flying around here. There's way more on offer in terms of ceiling. If I got 56 extra points from assistant manager, how many did I get from triple captain? I think I had 6. From free hit, I don't know, let's say 20. It's hard to judge. Bench boost, maybe, I think I had a terrible bench boost, like 7 points or something. The ceiling this chip offers is by far greater than any other chip by a country mile. And I personally think FPL should tweak it. I don't think they should remove it. We've never seen a chip introduced and it taken away the following season. Every chip that has come into this game has stayed for a considerable amount of time. The only one that didn't stand the test of time was the all-out attack. But even that stayed for like 4 or 5 seasons, and then it was replaced with a free hit. They're not going to bring us assistant manager one season and halfway through a season, by the way, remember? We only saw this chip in January and then pull it out 6 months later. I can't see that. So assistant manager, I think, is here to stay. And I think because of it, we're not going to see any other chips for a season or 2. But I wonder if they tweak it. If I was the Premier League, I'd be looking at assistant manager chip and going, how do we make it a little bit simpler to describe to the casual? Because I had mates in my work mini league that didn't know how to use it. So I reckon they maybe get rid of the price tag to buy a manager. That could be one thing they do. Like, every manager is free and not an extra transfer. You just have to activate the chip and then you can move freely. So you don't have to use a transfer on managers or any price to managers. That takes away loads of the complications when explaining the chip too. So maybe that's one thing they could do. Or maybe they can lower the points we get. Maybe instead of a 3-game run, instead of 3 game weeks, it's 1 game week or 2 game weeks. Therefore, the ceiling goes from 70 to 50. Maybe that's something they do. I don't think they'll change the points on offer. I think it could be the weeks, because otherwise you're just making it more confusing. You go, it's not now 10 bonus points, it's 7.5. Like, it's just messy. So I think the points that we see on screen could stay, but I think maybe it's not for 3 weeks, or maybe you don't buy managers, or maybe it's a free transfer for managers. That's where I think they'll probably go with it. Or maybe, look, I'm wrong and it just stays the same. I can't see it going, though. I think many were annoyed when it came out, and then I think they played it, and their chip strategy was central to their assistant manager chip. And I think then they quite liked it. I think if I was to do a flash poll, when the news came out the assistant manager chip was a thing, we probably had 50% of managers say they hate the idea of it. Maybe even 60. Now I reckon if I do that same poll, it's probably 30%, right? I think people are liking it more and more. So that's where I'm at with the assistant manager chip. And that is something that I think could change. When I look back at all those other ideas in terms of like, could we see limitless or stick and twist captaincy, I personally can't see any of these wholesale changes. I think assistant managership was a big enough change, right? We didn't see any changes for a couple of seasons, remember? I think before that, we saw an introduction of, was it free hit or wildcard 2 a few years back? Then we had nothing for a couple of years, and then we had the assistant manager chip. But what about the big final question, right? We've gone and looked at, of course, like, we know we're going to get positional changes. We know we're going to get price changes. We've discussed things like the possible chips changes. But there is one other thing out there, which is the biggest question of all for many enthusiasts. And guys, if you're enjoying the video, please do hit that subscribe button. Like, hopefully you've enjoyed it. But also, look, I've got so much planned for pre-season, some awesome guests to speak to as well. So hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe if you fancy. But now let's talk about the one important thing that we're all waiting for now. And that is, it's when does FPL launch? I thought, in my head, I always thought first week of July. First week of July gives us 6 weeks. Remember, Premier League starts up again on the 15th of August. But the Club World Cup exists. And the Club World Cup final, and the Club World Cup is getting loads of our attention. I'm keeping track and watching some games. Sunday the 13th of July is the final. Do they launch on the 14th of July? Maybe they... My estimate is... maybe from the 7th, they trickle some prices. We see the reveals on Twitter 3, 4, maybe even days or even a week before the game goes live. And then the game goes live. Like, they've got to build up to it. They always do. I expect they'll do similar again. But if they launch when I think they could on, say, 14th of July, is that not a bit late? It's given us literally 31 days. 31, 32 days. Not so sure my maths is off how many days are in between. Maybe they want to give us a little bit more. Maybe they want to build the hype earlier. Andy Martin, an account I love on Twitter, he reckons could start this time next week, could start middle of next week, and then launch on the 9th or 10th. Very feasible. And remember, Club World Cup is the thing, but Premier League, they'll still fancy themselves for sign-ups going up against it in terms of like headspace for managers. When FPL launches, we're all making a team. I personally think it could be a bit later than Andy, but let us know when you think it could launch. You can bet your bottom dollar though, as soon as the game is live, I am going to be creating drafts, making videos for you guys, and hopefully talking to you when I start doing live videos as well. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you very soon.